Hi, I'm Paige from PaigeeWorld, and due to a popular request, everyone really wants to know how I make my backgrounds. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to make a night sky background. So for this tutorial, the night sky background that I'm going to make is going to be really, really small. So the reason why I'm just going to do just the sky is because people will have different kinds of things in the foreground. So this is just a basic way on how to make a sky, and this is kind of what it's going to look like. There's many colors that you can use. I just grabbed a bunch in which you can use for a night sky. So the colors that I would go to would be, now I use sketch markers, so I don't know if they come in chow, but the markers are B45 Smoky Blue, B26 Cobalt Blue, BG49 Duck Blue, B97 Night Blue, BG18 Teal Blue, B39 Prussian Blue, BG57 Jasper, and B99 Agate. And I forgot to mention, for a night sky background, you have to have a white gel pen. So the first thing you want to do is, I'm using a Copic Sketchbook, and this paper is really, really good, but I find that the marker paper that's thinner is more leak resistant. So this one is more like a cardstock, and for some reason, doesn't make any sense, but it does leak a bit, so I'm just going to put another piece of just plain cardstock underneath so then it doesn't leak to the other pages of the sketchbook. When I color my backgrounds, I either start with cobalt blue or I start with like a very light grayish blue, which is my smoky blue, B45. So I'm going to start with a smoky blue today. And I'm just going to, this is just going to be my rough outline of where my sky is going to be. And you just color in the base color. And all of my markers always die when I do backgrounds. Oh well. Be prepared when you're making a background that the marker you're using is probably so I just got a new marker. Just be prepared when you're doing backgrounds, especially if you use like a big 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and even if you have like a little 1-inch border around that, you're gonna run out of your marker really fast when you make backgrounds. So I always use this color, and I draw nighttime sky all the time, so for me it's definitely worth it to always get new ones, but that's my base. And it's really streaky, but you're going to layer a bunch of colors on top of this. So the next color that I'm going to use is, I think I'm going to use my cobalt blue, which is very, very, very blue. It's not very green or gray. And I'm just going to color the corners like so. Just like that. And then I'm going to go over with B45 again, the base color, just to blend in the colors. Now when using Copics always streak, so the thing that you kind of want to do is have something distract everything. So once you have like a foreground in place, which of course you draw beforehand and then you draw your background, it chops up the section into smaller bits. So if I had a character like here, then I could actually split this drawing in two, and then there would be less streaks. And then obviously there's more stuff in the picture. So it's a little bit more streaky when it's just one big section. The next color I'm going to use is, Jasper, which is BG57. And I don't really have a particular number of markers that I use when I do the sky. I always kind of switch it around. So whichever markers that I have that are available and aren't dying, those are the ones I use. So my Jasper's dead. So I'm going to use BG18 next, because I like bringing in greenish colors for the sky, it makes it look much nicer in my opinion. And I'm just kind of following this kind of swirling, like, circular shape when I'm shading. Just because I'm going to put the moon here, so I want that to be the lightest area in the sky. And then I'm going to go over with my base color, just to blend it all together. And the sky doesn't look that rich in color yet, so my number one go-to for making the sky color look really rich and blue is to use B39, which is Prussian blue. And I use this for practically every night sky I have ever drawn. It's a really, really nice, rich, deep blue color. And then I'm going to use a little bit of B97 to blend that in. And you don't need to use this many colors for the sky. It's just my markers are all really low on ink, and it helps save them from dying completely. And then I'm going to use B26, my cobalt blue. It's a nice complement. I have a stuffy nose right now. I'm going to use B45 again. Now if you want a really, really rich blue night sky, I would start with the cobalt blue as the base, and then not use the B45. But I kind of wanted an ashy blue looking sky. I'm just kind of that around. Okay. Now I'm going to use my duck blue again. Just using my BG49 duck blue to add a little bit of green. And B97. I find having dead markers, so my B97 is really dead, but it helps blend the colors together. But you kind of, if you don't have any replacement nibs and you have like a refill for the, like if I had a refill for B97 and I didn't have a replacement nib, this marker is like ruined, because the nib, when you use it when it's dying, it's completely worn out. So I would avoid using it too much again. So anyway, so that's kind of the base of the sky. I'm just gonna, don't like how it's streaking right there. So the wetter your markers are when you use them, like the wetter the ink is, the easier it blends. I'm finding that my B45 is lightening this area a bit. I think that'll look good when the moon's in there. So this is the color. So this is the color. The coloring of this has been done. If I wanted to make it a little bit darker in the corners, I could add B99, which is what I usually do, but I'm kind of liking how it looks right now. Obviously, when you're doing a background and you have like a character in it, obviously you want to draw the character first and color the background last after you've colored all of the characters. So I'm not gonna like draw a character on a separate page and glue it onto this. It just won't look as good. So this background is just, I'm showing you how to color a night sky, or at least this is the way I do it. But this is a boring image on its own. You should have things in the foreground. So draw those beforehand and then avoid coloring those while you color the background. So if I was to have something in the front, it would, like, let's pretend this is a character and this is a character. Obviously, you'd be coloring around them when you do the background. And then it'll also make it easier to color because then it streaks less because you have smaller areas to color. So, just so you know. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start coloring in the moon and the stars. So, for the moon, I'm just going to start with this big, streaky blob. And I'm just going to keep blending it with my fingers. Because I want a glowing moon. And sometimes I use my chalk marker for this. Because the chalk marker is really nice. But it ruins the paper. So, that's why I'm not using it right now. So now I have this kind of like glowing center, and now I'm going to draw the moon on it. I'm going to draw the moon like that. And sometimes it's really hard to fill in the gel pen, because sometimes the ink doesn't stick. Okay, so now I have the moon, and I have a slight little glow around it. And then, this is the fun part, at least for me, and you have to be careful, because when you have a character in the front, you don't want this to have stars on it. You don't want stars all over your character's face. That doesn't make any sense. So, be really careful when you're doing this next step. So what I do is I'm going to take my paper out from behind, and I want to make sure my paper is laying really, really flat. And then I'm going to hold my pen straight down. I'm just going to keep dabbing a bunch of stars on it. That way you get perfectly round little stars. And I'm just going to dab them. Because then it makes it appear that there's more stars behind the stars that are shining less brightly. And then I think that's good for the background stars. And then when you dab again, you get nice bright white stars over that. This way you get a bunch of different levels of brightness in your stars. And it looks really nice. And you don't have to have this many stars, I just like lots of stars. Then, if you want, which is what I do sometimes, is I put a couple little shooting stars in it. So right now I'm just trying to make sure my gel pen is nice and dry. So since it's dry, what I do is I do one line, and then I smudge it, and then I draw over that line again and smudge it, and then I draw a dot, and then I have a shooting star. And you can make a bunch of these, so I'm going to just have one more going this way. Now I have two shooting stars in my background, and that's how to do a nighttime sky. Thanks for watching my tutorial on how to make a night sky background. Please download my application, PaigeeWorld. Thanks. Okay. I'm too lazy to go with my arm from away. I'm gonna leave my sketchbook down here.